Hello, I have a problem with a procombi 85E boiler. It works fine for central heating, but when running hot water, it works fine at first, but then the green light flashes and the flame goes out, fan is still running. I have tried changing the air pressure switch, but this hasn't worked. Looking for suggestions.
Does it actually light when on hot water?
It lights and then after running for a variable time of maybe 2 to 5 minutes, the light on the front starts flashing, the flame goes out and the water runs cold. It sometimes comes back on again, but usually I switch the water off / try turning the CH on and off etc. And eventually it comes back. As an update, tonight I took the case off and removed the cover and put a meter across the high limit thermostat to test whether it was that activating and causing the issue. Problem was, with the cover off, the boiler seems to work fine. So, I couldn't test that part, but maybe the fact it seems to work fine with the cover off helps?
When was the last time it was serviced? It could be grit in the bottom partially blocking the condense line. The boiler fires harder when running on hot water than on heating and creates more condensation.
It was tested probably around a year ago by a gas-safe engineer for a certificate. It's running on LPG, I should have added that, sorry. Is clearing the grit something I can do?
Tested is not serviced, or cleaned. If he was there about an hour then it may have been done. You will need to find out if he cleaned the condense trap.
Hello Andrew. I don't know how long he was there, since I didn't live at the property then, but I think that he's unlikely to have serviced or cleaned the boiler since this visit was to test and certify for a gas-safe certificate. Last night, following your suggestion, I operated the boiler with the main heat cover on, but with the light metal case removed. I could see the condensate trap and I am assuming the ball within this trap rises when there is a blockage and eventually hits the switch to indicate a problem. The boiler did not light immediately when I ran the tap, the usual flashing green light and no flame. I noted that the ball in the condensate trap has not risen up, but I don't know if maybe there is a second sensor somewhere on this trap, or maybe I have not understood the part correctly. I can add a little more information. As I mentioned, while testing to see if the high limit thermostat might be the issue, the boiler worked perfectly with the main heat cover, sorry, I don't know the name of this part, off. So, I tried simply removing one of the electrical connections on that sensor and instead of the flashing green light and the fan still running, the light went red and the boiler shut down completely. Perhaps when this thermostat activates, the resistance increases and this is detected and the flame goes out, but when the sensor is open circuit, this produces a different response and the boiler shuts down. This is a guess, of course, but I hope the information might help you determine my problem here. Andrew, when I have used JustAnswer in the past, each response from an expert came with the option of paying, or asking a follow-up question, but here I don't have this option. It's been some time since I used the service, so perhaps the system has changed, but I want to be clear I am happy to pay for your help. Look forward to your thoughts and thank you for your time.
It is called the combustion chamber cover. Does your rectification probe, flame sensor, lead go directly back to the PCB or via the condense trap?
Hello Andrew, thank you for your reply. I'm not sure. I looked through the service manual and couldn't find any mention of rectification probe or flame sensor, sorry. If you can point me at what I'm looking for here, https://www.heatingspheres247.com/media/additional_content/boiler_manual/procombi/procombi_installation_and_instructions.pdf. I'll take a look. Thanks again. https://www.heatingspheres247.com/media/additional_content/boiler_manuals/procombi/pro-combi_installation_and_installation_and_install_manuals/procombi_installation_.
Okay, does your model have one or two electrodes?
The service manual shows one, it's number 8 on the diagram.
Okay, see it now. Does the lead go back to the PCB directly?
No, it goes to a little black box at the back of the boiler, I think possibly the ignition transformer, number 6 on the diagram. Out of that comes a black wire which then joins others in a bundle and goes to the PCB, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing?
Have you tried cleaning the spark electrode? This also senses that the boiler is lit, so if dirty it may not be reporting back correctly. You may not notice a problem when on heating, as it could keep restarting if it cuts out, but on hot water mode it needs to be running constantly.
I could certainly try that, thank you. But, when the hot water is running, the usual case is that it works for a few minutes, then cuts off, then restarts a while later. It's off long enough to ruin a bath if I leave it running. Also, when the problem happens, the green light on the front of the boiler is flashing, about once a second, suggesting the boiler is aware of an issue. It's solid green when running properly. If the electrode was reporting back that there was a flame, wouldn't the light be constantly on? Sorry Andrew, you're the expert and I'm not disagreeing with your assessment, I'm completely in the dark here, but I thought I should mention it. The manual gives instructions for cleaning the electrode, 6.15 on page 18, but it looks quite in-depth, so I might need to delay doing this until the weekend.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Perhaps a problem with the plate heat exchanger. If it is scaled internally, then the boiler would have problems transferring heat into that circuit. Does the hot water still get really hot if you run the tap slower?
If I run it slowly it gets very hot indeed, scalding almost. I run as slowish when filling the bath, and at first I wondered if this might be the issue, causing a sensor to close down the flame because the water is hot enough, but I experimented and still have this issue when running water much faster, so it's lukewarm.
Okay, not that then. That also proves it's not the overheat stat, as it would not let it get that hot.
It's very strange. I assumed a heat sensor. I know nothing about boilers, so it's a blind assumption, but the fact it runs cold for a while before it fires again means whatever sensor might be a bit oversensitive should cool down quickly, since the mains water at this time of year is very cold, again I assume. I found another post somewhere when I first googled the problem suggesting the air pressure switch, and it seemed like a good option, but changing that didn't help. Your suggestion about the condensate got me excited, but if the ball isn't activating the switch, I guess that means it's not that. Yesterday I said that when the combustion chamber cover was off, the boiler worked fine. But, I'm running a bath now with it off and the flame just went out. However, when it came back on, it stayed on, which it never usually does. So cover off is definitely better. Sorry, blow-by-blow account here, but I'm assuming the more information you have, the easier for you?
No, that's fine, it's like standing in front of it checking things. If it works with the cover off, then it must be to do with the APS or fan. Does your model have one or two tubes? Can you check they are both clear and see if it makes any difference with only one connected and the cover on? Try one at a time. Hot water is when the boiler is running at full rate, so needs the most oxygen at once. Can you confirm there is nothing growing around the flue exit?
Good morning, Andrew. Thank you for your reply. Both tubes seemed in good condition when I swapped out the APS, but I only checked them visually to see if they were perished or there might be a hole. I'll check them again tonight and also do as you suggest and try taking them off one at a time. I think the area around the flue is clear, but I'll check that tonight too. I did have one other observation last night. When the flame goes out, I have experimented with turning the tap on and off repeatedly, running it cold for a while, switching the heating on/off, basically anything I can to try and gather information, and also make the water run hot so I can wash. Last night when it cut out, cover off, I turned the tap off, then on again a few times and eventually it kicked in and ran constantly so I could fill the bath. I would say that it on this occasion was running faster than I have done recently, because it's cold. I've been running it very slow to try and get the water as hot as possible, and I was surprised to find the water hot enough. So I'm now wondering if perhaps I have been running it too slow and the water is getting too hot and this causes the flame to go out? Of course, once the water is cold again, I would expect this to start the flame again, and assume that would effectively be normal operation. But, what if whichever sensor is monitoring this is faulty and so trips out, but is insensitive to resetting once the temperature is low enough? In addition, the cover being off might affect this sensor, because it doesn't get so hot, since there's airflow, and cools down quicker. That's, of course, an absolute guess, but I thought it might be helpful. In addition to your ideas, tonight I'm going to try it with the cover on, but running the water a little faster than I have been. Thanks again, Andrew. I appreciate this is a frustrating problem and I'm grateful for your thoughts and support. It might come down to needing to just replace the boiler, but I'm determined to try everything I can first, and the fact that it works fine apart from this issue does make me think it's a faulty sensor somewhere which just needs replacing, and it's a shame to waste the rest of the boiler just for that.
Also have a look at the hot water sensor. If it is scaled, then it takes longer to react. When heating it may react too slow, get really hot and overheat, then has to cool down before restarting, but takes time to feel the cold and hence takes longer to restart? Just a thought.
Would the hot water sensor be the high limit thermostat, 19 on the diagram?
No, item 26.
Understood. Removing his part for checking and inspection looks reasonably straightforward, according to 6.24 in the manual, just removing a pin that holds it in and gently easing it out. I can get a replacement, https://www.heatingspares247.com/procombi thermistor NTC sensor 100273551.html, no problem, but maybe if it's scaled it's just a question of cleaning it?
Sometimes just with a bit of Scotch-Brite.
Great, thank you. I'll try it as soon as I'm home. And the logic is sound. I'm running the water maybe a little too hot. The sensor detects this and closes off the flame, but the boiler doesn't shut down. It's a flashing green light which the user manual says temporary fault, wait rather than a red light, because this is normal activity and usually the water would cool and the sensor would let the boiler reignite, but because it's scaled up or corroded, it's not resetting quickly. There's a question about why it's different with the cover off, but maybe it's a combination of things and the cover off means everything is proportionally cooler. In any case, I'll try this hopefully tonight and report back to you. Hello, Andrew. I got the part out, but like a fool I didn't check and turn the water off. I managed to quickly turn the cold tap for the sink fully on, so this gave me time to check the part, give it a clean with a scour and then put it back in. But, I'll need to wait a while until everything is dry before I test. Fortunately, I did at least turn the power off.
Oops.
Morning, Andrew. I got home late last night and the boiler seemed to be dry, so I turned the power back on and it fired up fine. This evening and over the weekend, I'll put the cover back on and see how I get on. If I still have problems, I'll order another sensor and fit it, and if it still doesn't work, I'll come back to you for more advice, if that's okay. Meanwhile, I've given you a rating, so I hope that means you get paid now. I still don't understand how the site works. There's a tutorial/tour thing I should watch, but you know how it is. Anyway, thanks for your help and have a good weekend.
Thanks. Come back when you need me. If you want me directly, then include my name in the text.
Hello Andrew, cleaning the sensor doesn't seem to have helped, I'm afraid. Maybe replacing it would be better. I have another update. Trying to run hot water yesterday, the boiler was displaying this fault. I tried unclipping the combustion chamber cover and it instantly fired up. I repeated this same test later with the same result. For your information, the central heating had been on too, so I guess the boiler was warm. I also noticed that when it's running and I put the cover back on, there is a significant pull on the combustion chamber cover, like it's being sucked into place. I assume the fact that there's a flame means it's drawing in oxygen, but I thought it worth mentioning. I checked the flue outside and it's completely clear.
Did you say there was no difference with each APS tube disconnected?
Let me double check that. I'll start the hot water running and then try connecting/disconnecting each tube. I'll have to do this with the cover off, obviously. Is that right? Okay, I ran hot water, with the cover off, all good. Disconnecting the top tube, plus, marked as 17 on the drawing, creates the exact fault I'm having. Reconnecting it, I hear the switch go after a second or two and it fires again. Disconnecting the lower tube, 16 on the drawing, has no effect. Well, no effect I saw, and I only had it off for 10 to 15 seconds. So it definitely seems that the issue is in this area?
The one that creates the same fault with the case on should be the issue. Can you trace it all the way back to the fan and ensure all connections are totally clear? If that doesn't clear it, then there will be a problem with the fan venturi and you may have to fit a new fan.
It's only a short run back to the fan and I've just tried removing the tube completely and sucking on it while blocking one end, so there's no leak there.
It could be the fan then. Not blocked but not generating the required pressure.
I need to replace the whole fan? Or just the venturi? https:/popularboilerspares.co.uk/index.php. Option equals com_virtumart and view equals product details and virtumart_product_ it equals 252 and virtumart_category_ it equals 6676 and gclid equals kukaya 7 of brak-u au 8 dpcddq4h olem w3xxm lq4 zmavstwolst oi ka _4h ss3 div gnm3 hybokyo boy. Is there a possibility to take the fan out and maybe the blades are dirty/clogged and just need a clean/service?
If you take the fan out, you can check the venturi is not cracked and is clean.
Okay, I'll give it a go. It looks like a more involved job, but if that's the next thing to try, then I'll get on it. It's obviously working to a degree, because clearly it activates the air pressure switch. So I'm hoping it might maybe just be dirty or clogged, or as you say maybe cracked and potentially fixable. I don't need the water off for this, do I?
Not for the fan and air side.
I haven't got it out, but I've looked it over in place and can't see any cracks. The fan blades inside look clean and it's spinning easily and smoothly when I do it by hand. If I could feel a draw on the cover when replacing it, which suggests it's sucking, but when the cover is on, can't suck enough air to always activate the APS, does that suggest something's blocked? Where does the air come into the chamber?
From outside down the external part of the flue.
The flue looks clear from the outside. Should I try taking it apart from the boiler and see if there's a blockage?
Make sure the seal on the top of the boiler is good. Any recirculation of gases at that point will want the boiler needing more air to burn the gas.
I undid the seal on the top. There's a rubber seal/gasket around it and that seems in good condition. There is a 90-degree join which then goes onto the flue pipe which goes through the wall. This bend has 4 screws in it, 2 each side, so I undid those, but since there's an inner pipe, I wasn't able to get the outer part off. The seal onto the pipe going outside feels good. I put it back together. I'm not sure that the 4 screws in the bend are correctly located, but the pipe is all sitting centrally and there's a gap all around between inner and outer. I turned the hot water on and it fires and runs fine. I replaced the cover and ran it for 5 minutes, no problem. I can't measure, obviously, but it feels like there is less suction on the cover when replacing it. Difficult to compare really. I turned the tap off again, waited 5 minutes and tried again. Back to the old problem. Unclipping the cover makes it work immediately. I tried this 3 times, turning the hot tap on with the cover on, and each time the fan came on, etc., but no flame, and then the second I unclip the cover, it ignites.
It's definitely a fan or flue problem. Not a lot I can suggest now apart from the fan, the venturi or the flue.
Agreed and understood. I'll keep experimenting and let you know if I find anything, or need any advice. Thanks for your help, Andrew. Have a good evening.
No problem. Try a few YouTube searches, something may turn up.
Hello, Andrew. Just a quick update, still no solution. I took the flue apart and found no blockages or leaks at all. In further experimentation, I can confirm the fan is definitely spinning. The tubes to the APS are clear, as is the hole on the plus side. When the boiler is not working, blowing into the plus tube activates the switch and fires the boiler, so this issue is definitely caused by insufficient airflow. Removing the combustion chamber cover allows sufficient airflow that the boiler works. On top of the boiler is a second flue hole, covered by a metal panel which is attached by 3 screws and has a rubber seal. Removing this panel has the same effect as removing the cover, the boiler works with it off. So I think I can conclude that the issue is with the air circulation and specifically that not enough air is getting into the boiler. I can't see any obvious blockages at all, but I need to investigate where the air intake goes after the flue. Perhaps there is a blockage within the boiler itself, rather than the flue. Do you have any suggestions? As I mentioned, removing the plate for the second flue hole seems to cure the problem. Is there any danger in doing this? Of course, I'd like to know why the flue is not providing enough air on its own, but I assume no exhaust gas will be able to escape from this hole if I remove the panel, since it seems to be drawing air, rather than expelling it.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.